While some non-full front offices played chess this off-season, others were playing checkers. Some of these moves are absolute head-scratchers, bringing back Evan Neal. The man is a total liability. We are breaking down every team's biggest blunder from this free agency period. Here are the 32 absolute worst off-season moves. The Arizona Cardinals are waving the white flag. Moving on from the injury Kyler Murray was necessary, but their replacement plan is terrifying. They are settling for career journeymen like Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew to lead them. The Falcons just gambled on Tua Tagovailoa. The Kirk Cousins era was a legendary train wreck between his inconsistent arm and constant injuries. Cutting him was the only logical choice, but signing Tagovailoa and his frightening medical history, that is a massive, high-stakes disaster. Baltimore just watched Tyler Linderbaum walk away. Losing a Pro Bowl center is a nightmare scenario. They failed to lock him up, allowing the Raiders to steal him for $81 million. This is a catastrophic blow to the Ravens' front five. Linderbaum was the soul of that line. He was an Iron Man in 2025, playing every game. Now, that protection is completely gone. Buffalo just blew their budget on Bradley Chubb. He escaped a sinking ship only to overcharge the Bills. They handed him $43.5 million, even though he is turning 30 and fading fast. Chubb has not seen a Pro Bowl in years and has spent more time in the clinic than on the field. That cash should have gone to actual team needs instead of an aging, expensive veteran. His production has completely fallen off a cliff. If this fails, General Manager Brandon Beane is finished. Expect Beane to be fired if this backfires. Meanwhile, Carolina just lit a pile of money on fire. Jaelan Phillips is a talent, but the Panthers paid a premium for a player with massive red flags. They could have had him for pennies given his track record. The man's medical file is a horror story. After back-to-back Achilles tears, betting $120 million on him is pure insanity. That is a desperate gamble for a struggling franchise. Chicago is also gutting their elite defense. The Bears just nuked their own secondary. They let almost every star playmaker walk out the door. Kevin Byard and Deshaun Wright both fled for bigger paydays after dominant Pro Bowl seasons. Brisker, Gardner-Johnson, and Owens all gone. The Chicago secondary is now a total ghost town. The Bengals are chasing past glory with Jonathan Allen. He is 31 and clearly slowing down. His stats have been in a free fall for 2 straight years. He is a shell of his former self. The dominant force from his Washington days is long gone. This was a huge waste of cap space. Cleveland just handed a blank check to Zion Johnson. Protecting the quarterback is vital, but this is overkill. They grossly overpaid for a former Chargers guard who has yet to prove he is elite. A $49.5 million deal is a king's ransom for a guy with his mediocre tape. This contract will haunt the Browns, and Dallas, they just gifted Osa Odighizuwa to a rival. Trading him to the 49ers for a measly 3rd-round pick is absolute front office malpractice. He was the engine of their pass rush last season, racking up 44 tackles and constant pressure. You cannot replace that kind of veteran impact with a mid-round rookie. They just broke their own defense. A day 2 draft pick will not fill that void. Then there is Denver, who just went rogue. Releasing Dre Greenlaw was a total shocker. He was the heartbeat of that mile-high defense. In 2025, he was a human highlight reel, flying all over the field for the Broncos. With 43 tackles and a game-changing interception, he was the definition of a playmaker. He was the spark that carried them to the American Football Conference Championship game. Detroit just let their locker room leaders vanish. They completely ignored their desperate need for defense. Losing Alex Anzalone and Okwadin Mohammed leaves a massive hole in the Lions' starting lineup. Now, star rusher Aidan Hutchinson is stranded on an island without any Pro Bowl caliber help, and Green Bay swapping Romeo Doubs for Sky Moore is an embarrassing downgrade for the Packers. Dumping Doubs for Moore is a move that defies all logic. Moore earned rings in Kansas City, but never hit 500 yards. Houston grabbing Logan Hall is a total head-scratcher for the league, with Hunter and Anderson already there. Hall is purely redundant. The Colts are lighting money on fire by overpaying Daniel Jones. $88 million for 2 years of his mediocre play. 19 touchdowns and 8 picks across 3,000 yards is average. That is a massive bag for a quarterback with a torn Achilles. He went down week 14. The Jaguars let Travis walk away after winning their division in 2025. They just gave up. Fatian took $52 million to join the Saints instead. Replacing 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons will be an absolute nightmare. The Chiefs losing Brian Cook is a devastating blow to Kansas City. Losing 85 tackles and 6 deflections leaves a massive hole. Cook got $40 million from Cincy, putting Gilman in the hot seat. Swapping Daniel Carlson for Matt Gay is a total disaster for Vegas. Gay's accuracy has cratered since his Super Bowl victory with the Rams. This is a clear downgrade. The Chargers bringing back Pipkins is wild. Giving a 2-year deal to a struggling backup is a mistake. Between injuries and poor play, they should have looked elsewhere. The Rams are playing a dangerous game with no backup quarterback. Matthew Stafford is 38, and his retirement clock is ticking loud. Jimmy G is made of glass, and Bennett lacks the spark. Without a real successor, the Rams will sink in the West. Miami trading Jalen Waddle signals a complete and total fire sale. He led the team with 900 yards and 6 scores. South Beach is empty, leaving Malik Willis with 0 elite weapons. Cutting Allen and Hargrave might haunt the Vikings for years. Swapping proven veterans for raw, unproven kids is a massive gamble. The Patriots dumping Diggs for Dobbs is an absolute nightmare move. Diggs is a superstar. Dobbs is nowhere near that elite level. 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. That is not Diggs production. New Orleans is overspending like crazy on the Travis Etienne deal. $52 million is a steep price for any running back. With Kamara on roster, that cash belonged on the offensive line. New York keeping even Neal is a recipe for total disaster. Neal was a total liability on that offensive line last season. The Jets trading for Geno Smith proves the Fields project failed. They gave up a 6th rounder to bring back their old flames. Geno was a sack magnet in 2025, a worrying sign. This feels like a toxic relationship destined to end in tears. Philly shocked everyone by shipping Sidney Brown off to the Falcons. Losing him is a gut punch to the entire Eagles secondary. 34 tackles in 2025, and now he is just gone. Pittsburgh is just hoarding players in the secondary. At this point, they re-overloading the secondary with Jaquan Brisker and Darnell Savage, which really makes you wonder about Deshaun Elliott's future. Pittsburgh has way bigger fires to put out, especially finding a franchise quarterback. Meanwhile, San Francisco is playing a dangerous game with their offensive line. The Niners were absolutely decimated by injuries in 2025, yet they're still ignoring their protection. Then there's Seattle, who just let Kenneth Walker III walk away. Their ground game effectively died the moment he signed a massive multi-year deal with Kansas City this offseason. Charbonnet's a decent placeholder, but he lacks that elite spark. They brought in Cam Akers, but the guy is made of glass. There's just no replacing that level of talent. The Bucs are reeling after losing Mike Evans. Even with that hamstring scare in 2025, he still landed a $42.4 million payday with the Niners. That loss is a total gut punch to Tampa's air raid. Now, Igbuka has to grow up fast. Tennessee also made a total head-scratcher by dumping their veteran anchor Lloyd Cushenberry for a backup like Austin Slotman. It makes 0 sense. Washington just threw a fortune at Adefoa. We're talking $100 million. Over 4 years for 28 tackles and 7.5 sacks. The Commanders definitely overpaid for a guy who's never made a Pro Bowl and disappears during games. They could have gotten him for half that price. Honestly, it's a disaster. So tell me, what's the most bun-headed move your team made this year? Sound off in the comments if you're feeling this breakdown. Do us a huge favor and hit that like button. It really keeps the channel going. If you're a newcomer to Teppies, you've got to subscribe because we're delivering heavy-hitting videos every single day. Thanks for rocking with us, and we'll see you in the next one.